Welcome. You're now listening to episode 132 from the Shed End with the two Theos. How you doing?
Yeah, always on a Friday I'm doing good. Work day's
Yep.
looking relatively quiet for now, so touch wood it carries on like that, and managed to kick off Europa League, our Conference League campaign with 3 points last night. And it was good to have that kind of European buzz back at Stamford Bridge. Even though it wasn't quite the Champions League or the Europa League, it still felt like one of those European nights under the floodlights. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, but how are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Like you, I can echo Fridays are probably the best days. And obviously after a back of which I will call a good result, a good performance last night. Very good. Woke up in good spirits for a change rather than not good spirits. So yeah, you can take the pluses from that. But if you're new to the channel, if you're new here, if you're listening live or you're listening after the live stream, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Leave some thoughts in the comments as well, because it does help with the algorithm. So anyone doing that, we do appreciate your continued support of the channel as well. But last night, Gent, not Genk, but Gent, were in town. Stamford Bridge came apparently with a large travelling fans. I think they had to shut one of the roads on the way to Stamford Bridge, apparently according to reports last night, just because the fans are in loud voice, in loud numbers. But what was your thoughts on the game? Our lineup, you got it spot on, which is really good. Interesting lineup from us and a good start.
Yeah, I thought the lineup kind of picked itself. I think we made a silly mistake of having Lavia in our lineups initially in the previous pod. But I think that we quickly remembered that he's not picked in our Conference League squad alongside Palmer and Fofana. But yeah, I thought the lineup was good. Some of those players that, like we said, haven't really featured as prominently as they would have hoped this season. This is an opportunity for them to prove themselves, and I thought they did a good job, particularly like players like Badiashile, Disasi, Kinnan, Dewsbury Hall. It was their opportunity to shine, and they did well. I actually realised as well something else. I've been to Ghent as well. I was quite young when I went, but really strong beer there. Really, really strong beer. So they serve it to you in these really big beer glasses like this. And apparently it's like a tradition when you go in the Ghent beer pubs, you have to give one of your shoes, and they kind of take your shoe in a basket and they pull it up to the ceiling of the pubs, and then it's basically that you can't escape with the beer glass because your shoes are
Oh,
up on the.
so it's
So then
almost
when you
like
hand an exchange in a way, like if you want the beer, you have to give us the shoes. But yeah, that's a story for another time.
long gone are the days of just getting a beer token and giving that back at the end of the
Literally,
night,
yeah. Yeah, now it's like what, £6-7 a pint in London. But no, yeah, it was good. It was good to be back in the East Lower as well, in that family section, right next to the Ghent fans. And like you kind of mentioned, they were in fine voice, really, really loud. I think they were even throwing beer on the Chelsea fans at one point, and they were kind of like some kind of liquids being thrown on each other. But no, good performance. I thought Renato Vega looked really, really sharp.
Yeah.
And I think him and Mudryk, I don't know again if it was Maresca's game plan, if he'd watched some Gent performances previously, but it was a big, big space on that left-hand side where Vega and Mudryk were playing, and a lot of our kind of like creation and chances were coming from there.
Yeah.
I thought Mudryk did fairly well. Again, though, still didn't do enough maybe to warrant himself a place in our Premier League starting 11s, but quite a few times he'd make these kind of smart runs, take his player on, but he's just lacking that kind of end finish. I'll give him the credit for the Vega goal. It was a really good cross, particularly he shifted on the other side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall good 3 points, and I think it's the first time since I'm trying to remember. I think 2021 or 2022 that we've won 3 games in a row by scoring 4 goals. So we're scoring now, which is a new kind of positive as well.
Yeah. No, it was a really good start, really good performance overall. But I thought, I thought we found it really easy. And I think as the game went on, there was a slight worry from me. I'm not going to lie. There was a slight worry that we weren't going to convert some of these chances that we were creating into goals. Just because I think we went into that game 1-0 up at half time. It was a really good cross, like you said, from Mudryk into Renato Vega. And he was really smart, because I think most players would have gone towards the nearer post for the goalkeeper, but he was actually smart to use the other side of the goal and almost bluff the goalkeeper, which I thought was really good from him. Really good goal, his first goal for Chelsea as well. So I was impressed. I was impressed with the team. I was impressed with Dewsbury Hall, especially in the second half. I thought he was one of those players that just, I know he's only come into this team to do this job, play Conference League football, and maybe fill in as a sub throughout the season in the Premier League. But he done a really good job last night. I thought Cassidy again. I thought he might have been a bit of a sort of going into he went into a couple of early challenges, and I thought, oh, he might pick up a card or he might, but he done really well. And Pedro Neto as well. I thought just like Mudryk down the other side, the right side was just as open from Gent's perspective, and it was just easy for the two of them to get balls into the box. So I do want to talk about our defence though, because I still think, and one of the things I noticed yesterday was, especially with Badia Shil, it's almost 2 seconds too late to release the ball. And I think sometimes he's got the ball, he's looking around, he's not sure where to pass it to, and then he makes a pass. But it slows the game down, slows a lot of our momentum down, what we're trying to do. Do you feel that's kind of a true assessment, or do you disagree with that slightly?
Yeah, I felt like, I mean, in the pecking order, I think Bayer shows quite far down when it comes to our centre backs. I think I've even placed them fifth behind Disasi, Tosin, Fofana, and Colwell.
Yeah,
Um, but he does seem like a bit slow sometimes to react. And even like the football we want to play, which laying out of the back, we saw that in pre-season. I think it was against Celtic. He kind of gave the ball away way too easily in his
yeah,
own penalty box, and it led to a Celtic goal. So there's a lot of elements to the game that he needs to improve. And I do think these are the only types of, unless it's like a big injury crisis, I can't see him playing like regularly in the Premier League. So it's these type of Conference League games, maybe the games against Barrow, potentially the Newcastle Cup game coming up at the end of October, where he might feature. But I don't think I trust him in a big game against like a City, an
yeah,
Arsenal, maybe late in the last stages of the Conference League. But yeah, defensively, I think kind of after that Brighton game, I still felt there were a lot of question marks on how we're looking to perform, how we perform defensively. I think that was apparent once again for the first Gent goal. There were kind of VAR checks for the Japanese centre back, whether he was offside or not. But even if he was or wasn't offside, there were about 4 or 5 Gent players just completely on their own with
yeah,
no one marking them. And you spoke about how good the Renato Vega header was. It was a really good header from him as well, like
yeah,
almost fooled Jorgensen and went to his far post. But yeah, defensively, I think there's a lot of like question marks, and especially if that was from a set piece. Maybe I don't know if it's Brentford's set piece specialist. I think it's Quaver. That's his name. Whether
yeah,
he's there to kind of implement defensively, like how we can defend set pieces, or is it more offensively how we can kind of set up from set pieces?
yeah.
But yeah, I still think there's a lot of work we need to be doing defensively.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just looking at the goal now, and it just, it's tossing on his own at the back. No one really goes to close that cross down either. So I think Mudryk, to give him his credit, does. But you got, there's 5 players. Tosson's got 5 to mark on his own at the back, which is, it's just not good enough. And I think those are the sort of things where, yes, we can talk about the good parts of the game where we're scoring goals and we're creating chances and attacking wise we look good. But I think defensively, come up against a better team and they'll punish us a lot more than Gent were able to last night, which is a worry for me. I do want to talk about oh, what a goal. Sorry, I'm just watching the goals here as I am. But Nkunku's goal, because I thought Nkunku, obviously we spoke before many times on here about not really having other options apart from Nicholas Jackson. We know that Nkunku can play as a striker, as a number 9. Traditionally, it's not his natural position, but he seems to be taking it in his stride and doing really well. You spoke before about John Duran before we started recording, and do you think we can utilise Christopher Nkunku as a striker now and maybe start? You said it as well. He should have started after the League Cup game.
Barrow game.
Barrow.
Yeah.
He should have started the following game at the weekend. Do you think we need to potentially start seeing a little bit more of him now, because he seems a lot more comfortable in that role, maybe ahead of Nicholas Jackson?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's definitely an option to play as our number 9. We saw against Barrow the 3 finishes that he scored, 3 goals he scored from. I think they were like a striker's finish, each one of them.
Yeah.
The first one was like I think a flicked header. The second one was that almost was it like that kind of like flick from
The
a neck
Zola-esque.
corner? Yeah, Zola-esque kind of back heel flick from, I think it
Yeah.
was a Gusto corner cross actually. And the third one was just dispossessing the keeper and putting that pressure on the keeper, which is what you want from your number 9. I definitely think he's an option alongside Nicholas Jackson as the 9. Potentially, maybe his preferred position would be the 10, where Cole Palmer plays and is doing so well. And we kind of saw back end of last season and start of this year that Palmer really excelled in that position as a 10, rather than maybe slightly on the wing. So it might be hard for Nkuku to break into this team if Jackson and Palmer are performing as the way they are. I would love to potentially try or maybe a Jackson, Nkuku, Palmer formation, or maybe Sancho, potentially drop Madueke. But it does give us a lot of options. I do feel like we haven't really fully rotated our squad in Premier League games simply because the fixture kind of congestion has been quite kind to us as of yet.
Yeah.
But I know that when we get to December, when maybe we have like midweek Premier League fixtures, this is when we're going to have to potentially rotate our squad, make the most out of Neto, Joao Felix, and Cuckoo, Dewsbury Hall, these type of players that can fill in, Lavia as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cuckoo, I think, is a brilliant player. I'm just a bit worried that maybe it might get to the stage where he starts to get a bit frustrated with his game time, particularly in the Premier League,
Yeah.
and might want to kind of consider his options. And I'm not sure he saw, but he got called up to the France squad finally as well,
Yeah.
which is something I think maybe first time since summer 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So it has been quite a long time. But yeah, really, really good player. I really like the look of him. Even he had quite a quiet game, but still popped up with a goal on last night as well, which is good to see.
And I think that's the thing as well. The fact that he's not necessarily always involved in the play, and he's almost biding his time. And I say this about Haaland as well, that these sort of players don't necessarily always have to be involved in every bit of the every bit of play in the game. But when it matters and when it's crucial for them to be involved, they're there. They score the goals. They do what they need to do on the day. I would have to agree with you that I think he's going to start getting frustrated because, going back to the game on Sunday or going to the game on Sunday, I'd be very surprised if he's not in that squad, that starting 11, because he's proven himself against it's Barrow and it's Gent, two lesser teams on paper than Chelsea, but he's still proven that he can play the role that necessarily could fit into the 11. Keep Palmer in the 10. I would be surprised if he's not. But then is it harsh on Nicholas Jackson? So you have to think about, Nicholas Jackson's had a really good start to the season as well. Massive call for Maresca to make.
Yeah, it's a good dilemma for Maresca because it's a good dilemma for the time being because he's got so many brilliant players to pick from, but eventually people, like you said, are going to get frustrated. I thought Nkuku looked really frustrated after scoring at the Vitality Stadium. It almost felt like when he scored that winner in the 1-0 win quite late on, you could tell the celebrations, he was letting out a lot of frustration and anger simply because he thought maybe he should be starting and this is why he should have been starting. Then he scores the winner, doesn't start the following week at the London Stadium, scores a hat-trick against Barrow, doesn't start against Brighton. I feel bad for him because it's almost like what more does he need to do to be starting games in a way. But then maybe he just needs to wait for an opportunity from Jackson, Sancho, Madueke, Palmer, for one of those four players to potentially just drop slightly in their form. And then maybe he might come in and just cement his position more regularly in the Premier League starting 11s.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree. Axel Disasi, who I thought actually played really well or had a decent game yesterday. I think out of the back four, because I think he almost scores a goal, doesn't he, in the second half as well. He was very unlucky not to convert that into a goal. And I have given him a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks. Let's caveat that he wasn't playing in his natural position. He was playing right back. He captained the squad yesterday as well, the team. What's your thoughts on him? Did you think he just average or right? Do you think he done his captaincy duties well?
Yeah, I think when the Barrow game, we both looked at each other and like, who's going to be the captain with the formations that we picked, and I think I kind of pointed towards the Sassy, and I did see a bit of leadership qualities from him last night. Quite vocal, reorganising his back line, and we have been critical of him, which is rightful, I think, and fair at times.
Yeah.
But we do have to remember he has been shifted onto that right-hand side, where in reality he is a centre-back. So, as Pilaqueta at times, when he was playing right back, when he kind of was adapting more to a right centre-back role, you kind of see these players, they struggle at times. And I think last night he did fairly well. I still think he's more of a defensive player than offensive player. And sometimes as a right back, you want someone who's able to bomb down those flanks and kind of put a good cross in, which Cucurella, Gusto, Reece James, as Pilaqueta, Marcus Alonso used to do so well down across the years, and the Sassy I think still lacks that slightly. So maybe trust him more in that kind of like defending rather than going up the pitch. But yeah, I still think it's an option to have. I know that if Reece James continuously gets injured, you had Gusto in your lineup for last night, but I kind of thought like I'd just rather rest Gusto, have him fit for the Premier League. Even if the Sassy makes a mistake against Gent, I still think we have enough attacking players to win this game. And fair play to him, he did a decent job last night.
Yeah, no, I think he did. Panathinaikos next. Should be a
Yeah,
good game. Should be a
I
decent
think
game for you as well. It should be a decent game for you.
yeah.
Obviously, we've got Forest, the international break before then, and Liverpool. But going to that game 5:45, I'm looking forward to that one. I think this first game has sort of stamped our authority on the Conference League. It's kind of, we said last week or a couple of days ago that we are probably favourites to win this tournament. So I think we had to win in good fashion, and I think we stepped up the gears in the second half and was able to do that. Same again, surely against Panathinaikos.
You'd hope. I think similarly to kind of like these Croatian, Turkish teams and Europe, Greek teams do put on a bit of a hostile atmosphere.
Yeah,
And the traveling journey from London to Greece to Athens is going to be quite a long one. So there will be a bit of fatigue in that squad, which is why rotation is going to be really important. And I am expecting a tougher game than against Gent.
yeah,
I think it could be like maybe just one goal in it. I think Panathinaikos lost their rivals AEK Athens last weekend, so I'm not too sure what their form is. But I think that victory over Ghent last night was a good assessment of how far we can go in this tournament, because I actually did look at Ghent's form and Ghent's form compared to some of the other teams in the Conference League, and I would actually say they're probably in the top 8 teams in the Conference League.
yeah,
I would say so, probably along the other teams like you mentioning, Panathinaikos, Copenhagen, Real Betis, Fiorentina, and I'd probably place Ghent afterwards there. So the fact we can score 4 against them, I think is quite telling of maybe how far we can go in this tournament. But yeah, Panathinaikos in Athens is going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to that. And like I mentioned on the previous pod, I'm flying out to Athens for that game. So really looking forward to it, and hopefully a bit of Mediterranean sunshine as well.
bring some back with you, because it's honestly it's been crazy with the weather here. But no, it should be a good game. I think we like I said, we are favourites to win this. I'd be very surprised if we're not in that final. I know it sounds really big headish and arrogant as a Chelsea fan, but I think we should be there. I think we have the squad. We have no excuses to not be there. We have to be there. So yeah, we need to continue with that form. Another victory at Stamford Bridge, building that momentum of trying to make Stamford Bridge a fortress like it was many years ago. We've got to carry on this journey now and just make sure that we stay on that trajectory and try and make sure we don't come to too many hurdles throughout this season. But one thing I did want to talk about, because Simon Johnson in The Athletic did report on this yesterday around the number of yellow cards that Chelsea are picking up currently. This is going back from last season. So, and a lot of these are from, do you still think that's an issue? I suppose is the question I'm going to ask you, is that, do you feel that we are still picking up? It's very silly. If you remember back to last season, a lot of our cards, just looking at the record here, so since last season, 23 of our yellow cards were for dissent, 17 were for time wasting, 9 were for arguing, excessive celebrations, whatever that is, 4, simulation 4, entering the field of play 1, not retreating 1, and preventing the restart 1 yellow card. So a lot of yellow cards last season, and obviously up until now. Do you still think that's a problem for Chelsea, or do you feel like Maresca's got control of that slightly?
Yeah, I think, was it alongside Everton, I think we had the most yellow cards or the worst discipline record in the Premier League last season.
Yeah.
And it did seem like it was quite a prominent problem under Pochettino. And even Pochettino mentioned the discipline issue, players like Jackson just getting booked for dissent. But I have seen a bit of an improvement this season, I felt. Maybe bar that Bournemouth game where I think a Premier League record was broken with the most yellow cards.
We know why.
I feel like, yeah, we just have to look at who the referee was, I think. But then I think not a single yellow card was issued last night. I'm not sure if that's the difference between European referees who try to control the game and let kind of play go on, and kind of feel like they give 1 yellow card for 1 foul, that means they have to give a yellow for every single one that follows afterwards. Whereas maybe Premier League referees are a lot more trigger happy, and they're kind of like, they're following like a set kind of rules that they're given in terms of what warrants a yellow card and what doesn't warrant a yellow card. But so far, so good in terms of discipline. I want to say it has been a bit better. Have we gotten a red card so far this season? I don't think we have.
Don't think so.
No, but last season, I think like the likes of Gallagher, the likes of Gusto, the likes of Reece James, I think all picked up red cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, touch wood, it carries on like this, and we kind of keep our discipline record intact.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Just before we move on to the Premier League preview for Sunday, obviously a massive absentee, or a big absentee that we thought would be on the bench, or at least, maybe get some capacity of game time yesterday, was Carney Chukwuemeka. So Enzo Maresca has said today that he was ill, so he didn't travel, or wasn't part of the squad for yesterday. But we spoke about him last night on WhatsApp, and we were saying, he kind of needs to be playing regular football because he's a really good player still. Clearly can't utilize him at Chelsea at the moment, maybe because of the squad depth and the players that are just ahead of him. What next for him? And also Chilwell, because he was asked, Maresca was asked about Chilwell before kickoff if he regrets not including him in the squad. Renato Vega is there, as you mentioned, but two players that surely need low moves now in the winter window.
Absolutely, yeah. I think just for their football careers and kind of the trajectory they want to go down, especially Chukwuemeka, who's still very young, I think they just need to go out and learn in January and play their football. I'll try to remember, because I remember Ben Chilwell got a red card at the Bernabeu, and I'm trying to remember if that
Carries
on to the Conference League. But then there was the 2 games against Servette where you think maybe that he would have played a part in those, and now he's kind of like the band's over. Whereas Chukwuemeka, it's a real shame, because I think these are the type of games where he's probably only chance of coming off the bench and playing some football. Because I wouldn't even say he's a bench warmer at the moment. He's not even in match day squads, so he can't even be a bench warmer. He's just features not even regularly, or just in the odds. Like, he came off the bench in the game against Barrow. I think the Conference League will be an opportunity for him to play some football. But I think a player of his quality is just too good to be like playing maybe 10 minutes every 2 or 3 weeks. So I think for him, he just needs to go out on loan. And I think this time last year when he got injured against West Ham, we were talking about how it's such a shame, because he was finally breaking into the team. And I think he even started the first few games of that season under Pochettino. And he is a really, really bright talent. So I think one of those other players that if we do loan out or we do eventually sell, I think we'll kind of prove to regret it. And another one that's maybe a victim of just the squad depth and squad kind of how inflated our squad is in terms of talent. Like, realistically, we could have maybe done without the likes of Sancho, João Felix, because we had Gallagher, Chukwuemeka. But I think it's just maybe we wanted these players, and there was an opportunity to get them quite cheap. And Chukwuemeka and the other lot are just a victim of that.
No, I agree. There's one player that you haven't mentioned that I do want to mention on here, because he's getting a lot of stick at the moment from United fans, and that's Mason Mount. No,
it's a reason we don't mention him like Lukaku's name anymore.
Yeah, no, but I think he deserves a mention on this week's podcast, because he's out injured again for United, and there's no return date, so it's an indefinite injury. They don't know, they're still waiting to assess how long he'll be out for. When you think back to it now, I know we were all annoyed how the sale was done, and almost, because I didn't realize, I forgot United had bid 3 times for Mason Mount, and we're home, son, all of that nonsense, that the sort of promo videos. He's out injured again, and I was thinking back to his time at Chelsea, the back end of his, he had a really good season under Frank Lampard. Even the second season, he played relatively okay, but the form dropped off very quickly for him after that, and that was just because of injuries and in and out of the team. We've sold him for 60 something million. We've brought in Jadon Sancho and others as well since then, but it feels like we got the better end of the deal, looking back on it now in hindsight.
100%. And if you think back, probably the Mason Mount sale to United paved the way for Cole Palmer to arguably come to the club as well, potentially. And I think the warning signs, I was really sad. Like, I think a lot of Chelsea fans, when we sold him and when he kind of his form dropped in 2023, 24, 2022, 23.
Yeah.
But he was quite often injured. I think that season he only scored 3 goals. I think we were just so blinded by our love for Mason Mount and the fact that he was a Cobham Academy boy. But I think he was slightly kind of on the down, like declining in terms of his form and also his injury record. I don't know if he kind of took that curse of the Cobham treatment room with him to Man United, but he seems to constantly be injured. And I think it's just the 1 goal since he joined Man U. But yeah, I think the fact maybe like we don't actually talk about missing Mason Mount so much just is quite telling of the form that he's taken into his career at Manchester United and kind of the attacking players that we've been able to replace him with.
Yeah, it's getting worse as well. I'm just looking at his injury record now from his last injury. Well, he had a couple with us. He didn't actually miss that many games for Chelsea. He missed a period where he had a pelvic injury, April 2023 to May 2023. That was for 7 games missed. He also had the same injury February to April where he missed 5 games, a knock where he missed 1 game, that's 23 as well. 22 season ankle injury, missed 1 game, minor knock September 2021, he was out for 10 days, missed 3 games. But his United career, he's got he's got an injury at the moment which they well, sorry, this is the unknown injury. So he had an unknown injury August to September last season, sorry, 37 days he was out, missed 6 games. November 2023, March 13, 2024, 110 days missed, 21 games missed, and a hamstring injury which he's picked up recently. So the 28th of August 2024, 17th of September 2024, 22 days he was out, 3 games missed. He's now got another injury which they're unsure of when he's returning from. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to
It's
wish
Reece
injuries
James
on anyone.
numbers, isn't it?
It is, no, and this is why I brought it up as well, because it is on that same level of, you know, Reece James, you can't keep him fit. It's mental. So it's really, you don't wish injuries on anyone, but for a player of his age, you know, only 25, he's in the peak of his career. He should be playing, you know, the grass isn't always greener is where I'm going to win this. The grass is not always greener, because I think had he stayed and fought for his place at the squad, you know, in the team, you know, the grass isn't green. He could be playing Maresca ball and competing for other trophies, which I think we'll win before Manchester United.
Absolutely. I think there's a pod episode we recorded probably like a good year and a half or 2 years ago when Mount was still at the club. I think we're talking whether we'd prefer Mason Mount to stay or Joao Felix, when it was still kind of like Felix was on loan and Mount was like negotiating contracts, like only 1 year left on his deal. I think we both agreed wanting Mason Mount to stay.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, we probably did. Yeah,
the future captain of the Chelsea Football Club. How he was, we thought he'd stay there for the rest of his life. But yeah, how the tables have turned. And like you said, grass is always greener on the other side.
Interesting. Let's see how that one pans out for him. But let's go to Sunday's game, 2:00, Nottingham Forest, another home tie, Stamford Bridge. This is a game I expect us to win. But I will say, and I know you'll know this already, the result last season, 3-2, I think it was, wasn't it?
3-2 away from home. And
1-0 at home.
1-0,
yeah. It was Elanga, I think?
Elanga.
Yeah, it was Elanga. So Nottingham Forest is going to be a difficult team to come up against. They always are. I remember the game at the City Ground. That was a really difficult game. It's on like a Sunday. It was a really difficult game for us. What's your thoughts going into this one? Things have changed since then. Obviously, you know, managerial changes, club changes for both sides. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the Nottingham Forest last season didn't really have much identity. They just kind of felt like a lot of different players that they picked up across different seasons trying to gel together. Whereas now you can actually see what they're trying to do under Nuno Espirito Santo. Really like the look of, I think it's Murillo, one of their centre-backs. He looks really, really solid.
Yeah.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, we know all about him.
Don't mention his name.
Finally looking like the player that Bayern Munich wanted to sign for, was it 50, 60 million?
Yeah.
We really need to make sure we look out for him. And he actually scored against us at the City Ground last year. But that goal he scored against Liverpool, where he just cuts in on his right foot, that's what he does best. So we really need to keep a close eye on him on Sunday. That being said, I know that they picked up some form. They got a great result against Liverpool at Anfield.
Yeah.
But we just seem to have something about us at the moment. And like you said, games at home, it's the 4th home game in a row. We won the other 3 against Barrow. Who were the others? Barrow, Barrow, Brighton, and Gent.
Brighton. Yeah.
Brighton, yeah. And then, so it's an opportunity for us to get another 3 points right before the international break as well. And fortunately, we managed to get a result straight after the international break against Bournemouth. But Bournemouth were the better side in that team. And we got Liverpool after the international break. So I'm expecting maybe a bit of like fatigue, or a bit of like, you know, maybe slight drop off in the momentum post-international break. So this is an opportunity now to get an important 3 points against realistically a rival that we need to be beating at home, especially if we want to be challenging for top 4. But yeah, I am expecting a tough game. It could go one or two ways. It could go like that Crystal Palace route, where maybe we just don't take our chances and it finishes in a draw, we drop points. Or we just kind of like play like we did against Brighton and just score for fun. Every time we're in front of goal, it looks like we're going to get a goal. But yeah, I think really pleased that maybe a lot of those players were rested on Thursday.
Yeah.
Kind of be fresh and ready to play on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was just going to say exactly that. You know, the fact that we were able to rest Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Nicholas Jackson if he starts, Jadon Sancho, Cole Palmer. You know, it's pretty much the spine of your team. You know, the centre backs as well. The goalkeeper got a rest. So, look, I mean, Nottingham Forest, like you just said, you know, they do have threats in that team. Morgan Gibbs White, James Ward-Prowse, I think are two deadly players that we need to be on the alert for, because they will make things really difficult for us as well. Chris Wood, I think, is a really good striker. I think if he can get the ball into him, offset pieces off corners, we've already seen against Gent and other teams this season how we are struggling against, you know, teams that like to play for the corners, for the free kicks, and try and, you know, make things difficult defensively for us. So it isn't going to be easy at all. But what I will say is that the momentum's in our favour. You know, we've had some really good games, results, as you just said. Yeah, my only worry is defensively. I always think our defense is just where we lose, which is going to sound very cliche and obvious, but we lose our games through our defense. You know, sometimes it's a lapse in concentration. What's really worrying is we still can't play out from the back, and I think Maresca wants us to play out from the back. Sanchez doesn't seem good with his feet, panics under pressure. I think I said this the other day. Whether it's Badia Shield, whether it's Wesley Fofana, neither of them fill me with confidence that they can do what the manager's asking them to do defensively. That's the worry for me. So
Yeah.
it's just a worry.
I have seen improvements with playing out of the back, but I think seeing that the modern football club now does it so often, and we still haven't perfected it, I feel like there's going to be mistakes. That's the thing. Like against West Ham, against Bournemouth, there were times where we played really well from out of the back, but then against Brighton, you know, 2 mistakes and 2 goals. So yeah, I think it is slightly worrying, and given how much possession we have and how we want to retain that possession, I think there could be more mistakes coming from Sanchez, Fofana, Colwell, even Caicedo if he drops into that centre-back role occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to expect that as well.
I think one of the key things as well for me this Sunday is going to be Cucurella, who I think it will be, if he drops into that inverted role, which Renato Vega was doing it for some parts of the Gent game yesterday. But I think that's working really well for us. That extra, just having an extra body in the midfield, it just helps. It helps Moises Caicedo. It's going to help Enzo Fernandez, whoever's in that midfield, to just be able to, one of them go forward, the other one to come back, stay in that you know, double pivot with Renato Vega, and someone can go forward and, you know, help build up the play for the attackers. So I think that's working for us. It hasn't worked under Potter, really. It didn't work under Pochettino as much. But Maresca seems to have got it, maybe it's the personnel. Maybe he's got Renato Vega that he can trust. Cucurella's play that has improved dramatically. So I think that's going to be crucial, because I do think James Ward-Prowse and Morgan Gibbs White, Ryan Yates as well, another one. That midfield is going to be really crucial for Forest on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to, I think, like you mentioned, like Cucurella, Gusto having been rested, I think will be a huge positive for us. And whether it be Vega, whether it be Cucurella, they've really excelled in that inverted fullback role. So hopefully we can see another decent performance from both of them.
Yeah, looking forward to. Let's get to the fun part of the pod where we talk about our predicted lineup. So I'm going to let you go first as always. Probably might actually have the same one again.
Yeah, it's just so hard to change something that's been working so well.
Yeah.
So I think my starting lineup will be a carbon copy of the one that started against Brighton.
Okay.
So it would be Sanchez in goal, Cucurella, Fofana, Colwell, Gusto, Fernandez, Caicedo, Palmer as the 10, Sancho, Madueke on either side, and Jackson up front. Very, very harsh, like we said, on Nkuku, but just simply because I think he played a good like 80 minutes, I think, against Gent. And we have to remember, Gent was only last night. Forest is early afternoon on
Sunday.
On Sunday, you just want you want a fresh squad, and it's just too important of a game to change something that's been working well. So yeah, same lineup that started against Brighton for me.
Well, I lied, because I'm going to change your team slightly. The only thing I would change, I just don't think Fofana can start this game. I think Tosin has to start this game. I said it against Gent. I've been saying it every time I watch Tosin so far for this season. He just looks the more comfortable, composed on the ball centre back. And I think Levi Colwell, is going to need someone he can trust, alongside him in that defensive partnership. And I think that's Tosin. Whilst we're scoring goals, I just think if we make too many mistakes early on in this game, they will come back to haunt us. And I just don't. Fofana's a good defender, but I just think he's always prone to one mistake in him. He's one mistake away always when he's got the ball, and that worries me. The rest, I can't drop Nkunku. I can't. I need Nkunku in this team. I really do. I think I would drop Jackson. I know I've got kind of contradicted what I said before, because he's in form. He is in form, but I would drop Jackson for this game for Nkunku. I'd have to. I saw the raised eyebrows when I said that.
No, I'm not against it. I'm really not against it. It's just, like we said at the start of this point, it's just so harsh just dropping someone because no one's really kind of done anything wrong to deserve to be dropped in a way. I think the one I would have dropped was Madueke, simply because I just think he's a bit too selfish at times, and he kind of always just looks to kind of like have the glory all for himself.
Yeah, he does. But then who would you put there?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, if I was going to drop Madueke, I'd have to put Palmer there, and I think Palmer's playing he's more involved in the game in a 10. So, and obviously Pedro Neto can play Madueke's position. He done it yesterday, done it really well last night. I just think, and this is no criticism of Nicholas Jackson, because as I said, he started the season really well, but we have a squad and we have to use it, and we have to swap and change it. And I know it's going to be harsh, but it was harsh on Nkunku, who scored a hat-trick against Barrow, and then he was dropped for the next game. So I think, we have to just utilise the squad. And, if it doesn't work, we know that we've got Nicholas Jackson on the bench that can come and hopefully change the game for us. So that's my rationale behind it. That's my thought process. But it's going to be completely wrong. Nicholas Jackson will start because he's our number 9. But I would go with Nkunku.
Yeah, that's good for us though, because you can really see that the players are pushing themselves and it's healthy competition for one another. Because every time they kind of do come in, they come off the bench, they play in the Conference League, the Cup, they have performed. João Felix, Neto as well, Mudryk at certain moments. But yeah, I think it's healthy competition. So whether it be Jackson or Nkunku, you'd hope they'd be ready for the game, and whoever comes off the bench afterwards is going to be even more ready.
Yeah, I think this would be a game as well. I'd like to see Lavia get some minutes. Because obviously this is our last game now before the international breaks. You want to try and give him some minutes just to ease him back into the game, into the team. And again, you want to give the likes of Nkunku the opportunity to play, because I think he deserves that as well. International breaks coming up. He's in the squad, obviously, like you said, for the French national team, but you want to give him some more minutes and just keep his momentum going just as much as Nicholas Jackson's, because we've seen it with Mudryk. When Mudryk came, he looked electrifying, he looked a brilliant player. And with him being in and out of the team, slowly, it looks like it shut all of his confidence away at all. He hasn't got any confidence anymore. You don't want the same thing to happen to Nkunku. So I think you just manage their minutes. It's a problem with having quality in abundance in certain areas of the squad, which is unfortunate. It's fortunate for us, but it's unfortunate for the players.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting one. So I don't think we've ever been in this situation in a while, even when we had such a bloated squad at the beginning of 2022 or 2023 it was.
Yeah.
You still had like guys that were kind of creating a bit of a toxic atmosphere around the club. Yeah. Whereas now it's players that actually want to be there and want to play, and probably want to be here next season even, but just want to get regular game time. So yeah, it's a frustrating one, but also a good kind of dilemma to have.
Yeah, no, interesting one. Let's talk score predictions.
Oh, you go first this time. It's always me going first.
I think we'll win. I think we're going to win, and I think it will be a really positive result. So I'm going to go with 3-0. I think if we get things right defensively, then I think, and we start in Nkunku or Jackson, obviously Palmer's there as well, I think we'll be on the attack from the start. My worry is, as I said, the defence, but I'm going to go 3-0.
Interesting, yeah. I think something we've done really well this season is score goals. So I think that kind of pattern will keep going. But I also think maybe somehow, even if we're in a position, like comfortable position, we'll just let Forest back into the game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 3-2. So the same scoreline from what's that stadium called? The Riverside.
City Ground.
The City Ground. The same result that we had at the City Ground last season. I'm going to go 3-2.
Interesting. is probably more realistic based on our defenders, to be honest. But let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. As I said at the start, just don't forget to like the video. Really does help the algorithm. Also subscribe. Again, that helps massively for the channel to grow. If you're an audio listener, the Linktree link is in the description, so make sure you hit the Linktree link. It will take you straight to the Spotify from the Shed End account where you can listen to the audio version. Theo, as always, thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend. I take it you'll be at the game Sunday, so enjoy the game. And we'll be back. We'll try and do an international one. We'll try and get an episode out during the international period. I'm sure there'll be lots to talk about, as Chelsea like to cause havoc during the might even sack him, arrest goal. You never know. Stranger things have happened at Chelsea. So tune in. Make sure you hit the notifications so you don't miss any episodes. And we'll be back very soon. Thanks for watching.